On March 8, 2014, a Malaysian aircraft vanished from the skies. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur on what was supposed to be a routine overnight flight to Beijing. It never arrived. The disappearance launched one of the most extensive and expensive search efforts in aviation history, becoming a profound mystery that has captured the world's attention for over a decade. While the search involved many nations, the story began, and in many ways remains, centered on one country, Malaysia. This is the story of MH370, from the perspective of the facts, the theories, and the Malaysian investigation that led the world in search of answers. MH370 was a Boeing 777, a workhorse of modern aviation, operated by Malaysia Airlines. At the controls was an experienced Malaysian captain with decades of professional experience and thousands of flight hours. Beside him was a Malaysian first officer, also well qualified for the journey. On board were 239 people. Passengers from many nations filled the cabin, but the flight was operated, commanded, and initially investigated by Malaysia. For the families, the airline, and the nation, what started as a normal evening would soon become an enduring tragedy, forever linking the flight number MH370 to a mystery that is yet to be solved. Less than an hour after takeoff, as the plane flew over the South China Sea, MH370 made its final, routine radio contact with Malaysian air traffic control. The voice from the cockpit was calm, the message simple and standard: "Good night, Malaysian 370. These would be the last words ever heard from the aircraft. Just minutes later, its transponder, the device that communicates the plane's identity and altitude to civilian radar, went silent. On the screens of air traffic controllers, flight MH370 simply vanished, leaving behind only questions and an unnerving silence where a plane should have been. But the aircraft wasn't gone. Military radar, which operates differently from civilian systems, later revealed something astonishing. MH370 did not continue on its planned path toward China. Instead, it made a sharp, deliberate turn back to the west, flying back across the Malaysian peninsula. It then continued out over the Andaman Sea before disappearing from military radar range as well. This unexpected deviation was not random. The maneuver was precise and could not be explained by weather conditions or any instructions from air traffic control. It was the first sign that this was no ordinary aviation incident. In the critical first hours and days after the plane disappeared, Malaysian authorities were thrust onto the world stage. Leading the initial investigation and coordinating the search efforts, Malaysian aviation officials, Air Force personnel, and government investigators worked around the clock, facing immense pressure and intense global scrutiny. They were tasked with finding a state-of-the-art aircraft that had seemingly vanished without a trace. As the search area expanded from the South China Sea to the Strait of Malacca and beyond, the operation quickly grew into a massive international effort, drawing in experts and resources from Australia, China, the United States, and Europe, all working under Malaysia's initial lead. Then came a crucial breakthrough that changed everything. Investigators from the British satellite company Inmarsat discovered that even after all radar contact was lost, the aircraft was still sending automated signals, or pings, to a satellite orbiting high above the Indian Ocean. These pings, which were essentially electronic handshakes between the aircraft and the satellite network, revealed that MH370 had remained powered up and airborne for several more hours. This groundbreaking analysis allowed investigators to calculate two possible flight paths, one north and one south. By ruling out the northern route, the investigation took a dramatic turn, redirecting the entire search toward a vast, remote, and incredibly deep stretch of the southern Indian Ocean. The lack of immediate wreckage fueled countless theories. One of the most persistent is that MH370 was secretly diverted and landed at an undisclosed location, perhaps a remote airstrip or a military base. Supporters of this theory point to the deliberate turnback and the aircraft's disappearance from radar as evidence of a sophisticated hijacking. However, after analyzing all available data, Malaysian investigators and their international partners found no evidence to support a controlled landing. No radar systems in the region tracked the plane to a runway, no satellite imagery captured it, and no intelligence chatter suggested such a plot. While compelling, this theory is simply not supported by the available data. Another theory, one discussed very carefully, suggests the event was caused by deliberate human action from someone inside the cockpit. This theory gained traction because the flight's deviation and the shutdown of its communication systems appeared to be intentional and required expert knowledge. Malaysian investigators officially stated that the flight path changes were consistent with deliberate action and unlikely to be caused by a mechanical failure alone. However, they also made it clear that after extensive background checks and analysis, no direct evidence of criminal intent, motive, or distress was ever found regarding the flight crew. While technically possible, this remains an unproven and sensitive theory. Some aviation experts believe a catastrophic onboard failure, like an electrical fire or rapid decompression, could have incapacitated the crew, leaving the aircraft to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. This could explain why the communications systems went silent and why the plane continued flying for hours. Proponents point to previous incidents where fires have caused massive electrical failures. Yet the aircraft's long, stable flight path and its precise turnback raise serious questions. It's difficult to reconcile a catastrophic failure with a flight that continued on a controlled course for such a long time before eventually crashing. So, after years of investigation, what do we actually know? We know that MH370 departed normally, and that its communications were deliberately or accidentally cut off. We know it made a sharp turn and flew for several more hours, far beyond its intended destination. The satellite data, which is the most reliable evidence we have, strongly indicates that the aircraft's journey ended in the southern Indian Ocean, while pieces of debris confirmed to be from MH370 have washed ashore on the coasts of Africa. The main wreckage and the black boxes, which hold the key to the final moments of the flight, have never been found. The mystery of MH370 is not just a technical puzzle or a global headline. It is, at its heart, a Malaysian tragedy. It's a story carried by the nation that lost the aircraft, the people who led the complex investigation, and the families who continue to seek answers for their loved ones. The official search may have been suspended, but the quest for truth has not ended. For Malaysia and for the world, the search for MH370 simply moved beyond the horizon, waiting for the day the ocean gives up its secrets. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for part 2, where we'll dive deeper into the international search efforts and what the future holds for finding MH370.